veil on, because my husband has done that, and you end up getting holes, burning holes in your hoods and your veils. So just be careful, light your smokers without these first put on. It's very tempting, and I have done that before, but when you get that, if you get a nice good flare of flame, it can come up and hurt your suit. So that's one. Number one, get your smokers lit first. Number two, rings. If I get stung, I moderately swell. So one, knowing how you react to bee stings, that's very important. More than likely you will get stung at some point, because they still can sting you through your protective equipment. It's not quite as bad. I tend to swell up when I get stung directly on my skin where the stinger really gets in there. So I take rings off. I do not wear rings. I got stung once, kind of away from my ring, but it went up my finger and it was really hard to get that ring on. So the first thing I do is I make sure I take any jewelry off that I want to be able to get off later, just in case. It hasn't happened since. It was just the one time. Two, for me, I like to wear a baseball hat. One, it soaks up the sweat when it's nice and hot summertime. But it also, for me, helps the veil not hit me in the face. So that's kind of something I do. I pull my hair back just because it's less annoying, for people with long hair. So just some things to think about. So a little bit of use and care of our protective equipment. It does get humid depending on where you store your bee equipment. Mine goes outside. I have a screened-in back porch, but it's screened in. It's not air controlled. So as you can see, some things are going to get really dirty too. But one thing you need to look at is mold. I've had mold come on a lot of my equipment. It really sucks and it smells. Hand wash. You hand wash your equipment. I have thrown mine in the washing machine. You kind of take a chance by putting it in there. But if you put it on a low cycle, I have a front loader instead of a top loader. So probably not an agitator. Mine's a front loader. I did get away with that, and I just did a really light cycle just to kind of help get that moldy smell out. Some people might, I've seen bee removals where they get a lot of honey all over themselves. So probably not going to happen to you, but just in case you get honey all over yourself and it's a lot of it, you can do a little bit of a light wash cycle. You can air dry it. I dried mine on the lowest drying setting possible just to kind of get it started to air dry, and then I air dried it the rest of the way inside so it wasn't out in the humidity. So one, light your smoker first for use and care so you do not get holes. And the most important part of your protective equipment. And two, just try to watch the mold that can build up on your equipment. So different types of jackets, so we keep going. Kind of depends on how hot you get. And some people don't even use jackets, but there's a bunch of different types of jackets out there. You have your standard ones that kind of look like this. You have the nice hood that looks like this. Or, if you are hot by nature, they also make the nice ventilated jackets. They're still a little warm, especially during summertime, but I stay a lot cooler with the jacket. I'm a big chicken, so I wear a jacket no matter what. I don't care how hot it is outside. Occasionally I'll wear long sleeves because they still can sting you through it. It's not as bad as if they were stinging you directly. So over time, I have gotten used to getting stung. So it's not as bad as it used to be. But the nice ventilated jackets do make a big difference whenever you're out in the hives during the summertime. So this is another type. Another one, that one's the front one where you can zip it on over. I've had this kind of jacket before. I haven't worn this one in a really long time. You can see it sits on top of your head instead of coming up from behind, but it still has that front zipper. like that. Problem with a lot of your hair, and probably why you don't want to overheat, is a lot of times things you have to think about and be careful of are bees going up your jacket. The bottoms, like the elastic, really like to not be elastic anymore, so they don't stick around your waist. So my husband has had a lot of these up his jacket, because it has worn out over time. So, I tend to find the better jackets. If you want to start cheap, that's great, but just know you might be buying more equipment over time if you're one person that really wants to have that feeling. I also got some through there. There was a nice little hole there. They found it. It's okay. They make not only jackets, but they also make pants. I wear pants. These are my bee pants. And I also wear pants. There's been occasions where I've just worn jeans. Most of the time that's just fine. Again, I really don't like it, so it's just my chickenness in me. I just don't like it. It's not that I swell up too badly. I just don't like it. So I also wear pants. I get really hot during the winter, during the summertime, but I deal with it and it's fine. So I also wear the PPE pants. I'll put my pant or my shirt, tuck my shirt inside of these. So if my jacket rides up, it's a little harder for them to get those cracks and crevices. Obviously, you can see how dirty these are. I do throw these in the wash. They stain pretty well. I just don't dry them as much. So that's kind of my use and care of that. Some other fun things that I have found that other people have done are the nice little air things that go around your neck. Again, I'm a little bit of fruity. I'm a suburban hobbyist beekeeper where I just have 6 hives outside my back door. So I went a little more urban, and in the summertime it gets a little warm. So this is one way I combat it. It doesn't seem to bother the bees that much. They don't fly at me anymore than normal because it does make a little honey noise. So just something else that I do to stay cool. Have water with you at all times. Some other things might be having a drink with a straw. Avoid sugary drinks, because we all know that bees and other pollinators like those sugary drinks. You don't want to be sucking up the yellow jacket. Whenever you're going to hydrate yourself while you're taking care of your bees. Never really had problems with bees. My husband drinks beer all the time. I don't know. But he hasn't had problems with that either. But, just careful. You can undo your veil a little bit, and if you have a nice little straw to stick through a smaller part. So, those are just some things with warm weather. So that's been helpful. Let's see. A little bit with sting kits. I had someone have me put vinegar on cotton balls if you do get stung, just to kind of put it on the area. There's a lot of sting. I know I'm talking about stings. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but this is a big deal for new beekeepers, and I know a lot of people care about this. So there's a lot of sting stuff that you can buy out there. I had someone tell me about vinegar on cotton balls. If you do get stung, to kind of help put it on there. I think it'll work okay, but it's been part of my imagination. But I have that as part of my protective equipment kit as well. Obviously, so your smoker and your tool hive, always have that. So I have kind of all my kit going. So I have my jackets, making sure we'll make sure when we finally put them on that they're fully zipped up. That's the other thing to consider. Because if you do not fully zip up, the bees will find a way in. So after you start putting them on, we'll go over a little bit about what you do if you get a bee in your suit, because it will happen eventually. So the big part is to not freak out. So going on to gloves. Gloves are another thing, and there's a lot of different personal preferences with gloves. Usually when you get gloves, you start getting gloves that come in and they kind of look like this. They're always too big, and you always have that extra crap at the end of them, which makes it really difficult to work your frames in your hive. It kind of goes over time with how your preferences, with how comfortable you are with things. So as you can see, these have been used. This is probably the biggest part that will get stung by your bees, because if you are just wearing gloves, you're going to probably handle your frames a little rougher. It just happens, but as you're getting more comfortable in your hives, it will get better, and you'll be able to be much smoother with taking out your frames, putting them back in there nicely. But I will tell you, when they start to get sticky, so will your gloves, and they're just going to get stuck to the frames. You're going to squish bees, it's just going to happen. So you're going to get a lot of sting pheromone on there. Some things you can do to kind of help that is I like to smoke my gloves, because the smoke is supposed to help cover over those pheromones. I will, if I see stingers in, take them out right away, just so it doesn't encourage the bees to go after your hands a little more. As you can see, again, things start falling apart. I still use these. I have the big fancy jacket, so I'm not as worried about it, but I just cover over that so that they don't go down into my gloves like that. Not my favorite gloves. I've gotten away from these. I had someone actually tell me a nice little trick. These are rose gardening gloves, and I actually really like these gloves. They fit me a lot better. I was able to get a size that fits me a lot better. They are much tighter. I have been stung through them, but not very often because they are leather. And as you can see, there's less space in between my finger and the end of the glove. I really like these gloves. For anybody, they come up. These are a little black. I have seen some more of the more defensive bees kind of go after that, but I've never had a problem with these gloves. I think these are called bionic rose gloves, and these are women's. They are fantastic for those of you who do not want to give up the gloves. I love these to death, and I find that I handle the frames much better with these kind of gloves. Now, if you're braver, a lot of people will go with your standard kitchen dish gloves. Again, they give you a little bit of protection, and they make handling the hives a little bit easier because they're not bulky. Some people will even use latex gloves that you can get at CVS. These are surgical ones, so these look a little different, but you still have a thin protective covering between you and your bees. You'll get stung more through these, but it's okay. You can feel your frames better. You might handle them more gently, and you might make your bees less defensive later on. So those are just some types of gloves. I haven't washed these, and I probably won't. I have washed these to see how I can get away, because if they are leather, the water will do stuff to them. But obviously, I do what I can with my equipment to keep it as long as I can. Some people don't use equipment, and that's okay. I have seen people in shorts and stuff that just using the nice little veil. And occasionally I'll just put this on if I need to do something quick, just to protect my face. The face is the biggest part that you want to protect. If you know you're not allergic, you don't react much, you don't mind the stings, then just having this on so that they're not stinging you in the important parts of your face can be very helpful, just to have this carrying around if you're good. And then you can just wear a t-shirt. Some people wear shorts. Again, I'm a little more sensitive to being stung, so I wear the full getup. I did forget to mention they also make ventilated gloves, because there's one of my husband, he hasn't used these ones. He's got a smaller pair, so they do make the ventilated gloves to go with the ventilated jackets as well. Any questions so far? So I do have my rain boots that have fallen apart. The duct tape was because I got a hole in them. So these are my beekeeping shoes. I like them a little higher. I used to wear just these pants. Most of the times the bees aren't going for your ankles, they're going for up here, and usually around your hands and stuff, because that's where most of the smell is. So yeah, you can wear a lot of, my husband just wears, he will wear it too, but not just because that's what he likes. But he wears jeans, and he wears he'll wear tennis shoes sometimes. Whatever you're comfortable getting dirty. Other things to think about if you do wear regular clothes, dark colored clothes, attract more of the bees. I believe it's more of like a shadowing thing, where they will go after more of the dark colored areas. Like I said, those black parts on my gloves, they will go after more than the rest of me, which is why beekeeping stuff is white. So if you do, just wear a jacket, just make sure to wear some light colored clothes with that, just in case you have a little more defensive bees. My husband was wearing dark jeans the other day, and they were all right here. It was a very defensive hive, not ours. It was a friend we were helping take care of. They were all right here on his crotch. Another thing, men, zip up your crotch. My husband has forgotten to zip up his pants a few times. Again, they'll find the holes. They will. So, zip up your pants. Zip up everything. Any questions? Okay, so we got use and care, different types of stuff. They make full bee suits, and I'm not that big of a chicken to go that route. You'll see a lot of people who do cutouts using full bee suits for that kind of stuff. So they do make full bee suits as well. Those are a little more expensive for my taste. All right, so I guess, are we putting on our equipment? Putting on equipment. Everybody knows how to put on pants. So just making sure this has the nice little things that can go around, push your arms through. You just put it over. It's supposed to keep it down so that, and just make sure you tuck in, untuck my top under. Just making sure it stays nice down so you cover any holes so they can't find that. This is, your basic care, or basic wear right there. As basic as you can get. So most of your bee suits have your front zippers. I've had some bee suits where the zippers crap out on me. It's very sad. They have these nice little notches right here to help keep it down so it doesn't ride up. Now I will say that my rose gloves do tend to be a little tighter because this suit's probably a little bigger for me. I'm fine with that. So just making sure all of your parts gotta go up. I go up all the way. It has this nice little thing right here. Now it's gonna get all has all these nice little parts right here. You can, put your drinks if you need to. Letting out bees if you need to. But it has this nice little area right here where it goes all the way across. I zip it all the way. Not getting your hair stuck. What else do that? And then making sure you go all the way over so there's no hole. This hole, don't find this hole if there is one. And it has that nice little thing right there to protect that zipper part. So that's how this one works. And then it has this. If you need to let a bee out, you can let this down, drop it. Hopefully they will fly out. I call it the bee dance. If you get a bee in here, freaking out and doing this number, will only make them more upset and make them more likely to stay in your veil. So stay calm. You can do that, unzip that part. Just try to unzip this part as quick as you can. Your zipper works. Oh, I got mine stuck, see? The front part would probably be much better. And then taking it off that way. Just being calm, just to take it off so you can get the bees out of your suit. So be familiar with your bee suit. Let's see, what else? So, once you get your bee suit stuff on, you have your smoker lit first, your bee suit is on, then you can kind of get ready. You have your stuff ready before you're ready to go. So before I go into the hives, we have a bucket, a little 5-gallon bucket, and we got whatever thing at Home Depot where you can set it in a bucket and it has pockets and all of that. And we have all of our equipment kind of set up in a nice easy to reach place. We have our hive tools. We have multiple hive tools because we've all been told we will lose them. And yes, you will. You're all like, where did I put my hive tool? Mine has a place for a hive tool. It doesn't work very well. I never use that pocket. Let's see. So we have our bucket. We usually take it out outside the door or next to the hive if you have a nice hive, so everything is ready to go. I always have a goal in mind with my hives when I go out to inspect them. What time of year is it? Is it springtime? Am I looking, so springtime. I'm looking for eggs, because I always look for eggs for the queen, because when you're starting out, it's really difficult to find the queen. Once you start finding her, then you're like, oh, this is cool, and it gets much easier after that. But I always look for eggs, always making sure the pattern looks good. In the springtime, I'm looking for queen cells because I don't want them to swarm. So having, how much food do they have, especially going into fall? That's another thing. How much food do they have? One thing that I have done, maybe, that they have is your field journal. You can buy these, it's just something extra to buy, people make money on, but it does tell you, and it kind of gives you an idea of what to look for in your hive if you have a scattered mind. So for me, my beekeeping journey, Bill talking about how can the club help. I'm a very big stress ball. Going into my hives was stressful all the time. But having a plan in place kind of helped, and then having the realization that it is what it is. You're going to learn what you can learn, and some people it takes longer to learn than others. So for me, to get comfortable in my hives, it's probably taken a couple years for me to really get comfortable. When I started, this kind of helped because it reminded me, what's their behavior? Are they calm? Brood coverage on frames. How does the brood look? How does the population look? You'll learn that over time of what a small population versus medium versus a lot of bees look like. How many boxes, deeps, supers, excluders, did you requeen? Did you adjust the entrance? Do you have pollen traps, feeders added? How much honey, how much pollen, how much extraction? So make these nice little things to help you journal easier if that's something you want to do.
What is it called again?
This I believe is through Man Lake. It's called the All-Weather Field Evaluation Journal.
Okay. I'm gonna order one.
There you go. I just ripped the page out so I can remember what I was looking at. So that's part of my kit that I have. So that's kind of my mindset. I set myself up for what my goal is in the hive. After I get all my protective equipment, or before, the purpose of your inspection and having everything you need. Your most important is your smoker, your hive tool. Some people like to use the frame holders. Let's see what else. I have a bee brush. I don't use it anymore because it tends to make me mad. Some people have the little hive frame holder, and it's a little squeezy device that you grab the middle of the frame after you pry it away from the propolis to pull it up nice and straight. My hand grip is not that great, and I always lose them, so I don't use those anymore, but I have one. I bought all the toys. Let's see. A lot of people like to take pictures. When I started, I got away from it, but when I first started in the hives, I had my camera, and we're a two-person operation, so my husband would go through, because I was a little timid. I didn't like to handle the frames. So I made my husband do it, and I took pictures. So part of my kit is having the nice little pen with the little stylet on the end. And I took pictures of every single frame in my hive. Yes, I did. It took me 45 minutes to an hour to go through one hive, but when we started, we only had 2 or 3, so it didn't really matter. You make your bees stressed out, but when you're starting, it was a really good way for me to learn, and I appreciated it because it made it a lot quicker for me to know what I was looking for later on. And if I miss something, I can go back and look at my pictures. So I have a bunch of pictures and albums on my phone, and I can go back and look at what the hive looked at throughout the different seasons. So that's something else you can do. It also made it easier for me to go back and journal, so I didn't have to remember it, because when you're going later on, I'm up to 6 to 8 hives now. This is the first year where 6 hives did not feel like a lot for me. Last year I was really stressed out going through 6 hives, but this year I'm much more comfortable with 6 hives. I don't know how people do 60 to 80, so good on you for that, but not me. So yeah, there's a lot of different mindset, but just have that confident mindset, have a plan in place. Every year I focused on something different. As we talked about, bee treatment, whether or not that's where you want to go, can be very important to keeping your bees alive. So the second year after learning what my hive was, bee treatment was something else I focused on for the year. And then after that, it was about making nukes, because I went to Bill's queen rearing class, so I had to make a nuke so I could make, when I got my queens, learning that process. So I didn't do it all in one year. I split it up so it was more attainable, at least for my brain. My husband started with YouTube. So, some people can learn like that. But then I got in bee school, and he appreciates that. But that's just a little bit of my journey, along with my protective equipment and how I get myself set up. So that is it.
We'll take a few minutes break. Stand up, move around a little bit, check the smokers, make sure it's going good.
I tested those smokers. I tested how long they would last.
They're doing good so far. All right. There we go. Had me worried there for a second.
I guess the burlap doesn't last as long.
Next one will be
You know what
Rodney
I've
talking
seen with
about
the
swarm
burlap?
management.
They roll
And then
it.
we'll get into the bees.
They roll it tight
And at
and
that
they
point in
ride
time,
it from the
there'll be your
bottom.
dress rehearsal for putting your equipment on.
Yeah, we just keep rolling it, like making it about this thick.
Questions? What'd I say?
Yeah, what'd you say? We're gonna talk about put all our stuff, but before that.
Well, what we'll do is we'll have a swarm management class, and then we'll break down into 2 groups. I guess from here over, we'll go down the hill. From here over, we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, that'll work. So from here over, we'll go over to Connell.
And we put our suits on for
Before
over
we go,
here too.
Wherever makes you feel comfortable. If you're going to go this way, you got to go over the hill. It's about a half-mile hike.
Wait a minute, we're hiking a half a mile? I didn't sign up for that.